Hey guys, you'll have to let me know how my audio volumes are. I'm trying to set up the mic earlier on, and Brian and I share the same settings on Streamlabs OBS. So if there's any issues, please do let me know with the sound. Okay, I can see Anarchy's there already. Hey man, good to see you. We're just going to give it a few minutes and we're going to wait for the bot to ping. Which reminds me, I'll just pop a post on the UK server. We'll see if we get anyone else watching. Okay, anyone else in the chat at the minute? You can just see Anarchy at the moment. Let's get this volume down a little bit. There we go. So we're setting up. I'm just going to make sure I've got all the browser windows and everything I need. Okay. Okay, there we go. Cool. That gives me all set up. Zeal generation team. Well, it's a full Zeal build board. Is this for the wife stock? So it's going to be the Zephyr with Healios and with Zeal stabs. So it will be a full Zeal board. So yeah, that's all ready to go. We'll look at the both boards in a second. We'll do a bit of an unboxing as I'm just going to wait for the bot to ping and then see if we get any more people watching. Let me just move this around a little bit. I've got ISO returns as well. Hey man, good to see you, dude. Glad to see you there. And Mr. Evil Genius himself. Hey. And we've got Wiz Blue. Oh, for Sunday stream, almost. Yeah. Wiz, it's the first one for 2 weeks. I didn't do one last week, so yeah. Welcome back, dude. And we've got Tyson as well. Hey man, good to see you, dude. Good to see you. I think the parcel from you is almost at my door. It should be here Monday or Tuesday. My phone is going nuts. Turn that off. Cool. Not the 60XT today. Today is two builds. Today is going to be a Zephyr build for my wife, and then it's going to be the JER-Mini, or the JER-Mini, as me and some EU friends have been calling it, for the second build of tonight. So that's going to be the two builds we're going to do today. And we've got all of them kitted out over here, so we're going to start in about 5 minutes, so just take it steady away. We've got Meh Advice Guy as well. Hey man, good to see you. In terms of the 60XT, I think I'm going to probably build that next week. I think I'm probably going to build that next week. And then we'll have a look at it, we'll see how it is, and then we'll get it back to Pingu as well. So, yeah. Did I? Yes, I did. You're right. I probably did forget the link on the UK board. Let me add that in. There we go. Thank you very much, Mr. Advice Guy. There we go, that's added. Cool. Likewise, good evening, crew. Yes, Bug Whisper says the JER-Mini in white looks so nice. Yeah, the pale white, which I think he means pearl white, is absolutely stunning. It's really, really nice. I can't get enough of the board. I'm dead excited to build it and use it as my daily. I'll replace this for a little bit, which is the Noxry 268, which I've been dailying for the past week. So I'm really excited to build that as well. And we've got Rope as well. Hey man, good to see you, dude. Oh, and it looks like the bot has finally pinged on the top Clack Discord as well. So we'll give it a couple of minutes and then we'll crack on with the build. So as I say, we're going to do both builds today. We're going to try and get them cracked out in about 3 hours, give or take, hopefully a little bit faster. I do have work in the morning and it's just gone 8 o'clock now, so I don't want to be up too late streaming. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see how that goes. We've got Elmo and the holiest of pandas and Rudbeard as well. Thanks for letting me know the bot ping. Thank you, dude. Yeah, appreciate that. I've got Discord open as well, so I can see if anyone pings me on there. But we are just about ready to make a start. So as I say, this is going to be 2 build stream. The Zephyr for my wife, which is the red Zephyr. So I'm going to build that for her. Oh, and my dog's just coming to the office. Hello, chicken. Go on. Go on out. Apologies about that, guys. The dog is a little terror for opening the office door. And we've got Gariko as well. Hey man, good to see you, dude. Good to see you. Doggo, yeah. She's been a little bit naughty this weekend, so I'm not in the best of moods with the dog. Yeah, she's been a little bit naughty, just a little bit. But yeah, she's all good. She's all good. Volume's pretty low, someone's saying. Yeah, for some reason I can't seem to turn it up any louder. For I think there's something to do with the audio volumes. Let me have a quick look and see if we can get this to be a touch louder. Okay. No, it's definitely coming through the road. Quer's messaging me on Discord. Let me just see if does anyone know how I can increase the volume on my microphone. Okay, yeah, it looks like it is quiet. Let me see if I can change it in here. Okay, how's that, guys? Is that better? Is that louder? Is that too loud? Let me turn it down just a touch. How's that? We good there? Hope that's alright. Hope that's alright. Let me know if that's better. Better? Okay. Okay, what's the name of the dog? The dog's name is Georgie, or Gigi as we call her for short. They're telling me the sound's much better now. Let's see what else is in the chat. Yeah, sorry if that was too loud. Better. It sounds good now. Excellent. Yeah, perfect. Too loud. Can hear you now. Okay, cool. Yeah, glad we got there. Yeah, when Brian changes the settings for his streams, I then have to unpick all the settings and change them for my streams because we have slightly different hardware. So what his gain picks up and what mine doesn't is just, yeah, there's a big difference between the two. Anyway, now we've got the sound fixed, what I want to do is start to do the unboxing of the first board. So I'll go through what keycaps we're going to use and a little bit of a surprise from glove caps as well, some artisans to use on the board and the switches, and then we'll take a look at the board as well. So the first board is going to have Healios switches in. So these have been lubed with Krytox 104 on the housing and stem, and Krytox 106 on the spring. They haven't been spring swapped, they are completely stock, and they're very nice and smooth now. In terms of the keycap set, we're going to be using GMK Exent, which I had to buy an extra black spacebar in 7U for. So we're going to be using the full GMK Exent. So for those of you who don't know this set, it's a black set with grey legends, which should look nice on the red board. And then we've got some nice artisans from glove caps as well. So these were made for me by George from Glove Caps. The idea here is that we'll use the red ones, the red topped ones, and it'll almost give kind of a wing keyless look on the board, but they are absolutely lovely, polished to a smooth shine. I really love these artisans, and thank you very much to Glove for making these for me. Really appreciate that. And that's just a little bit of dirt. There we go. So yeah, there we go. We're using those as well. GMK Doom. Yeah, Doom was a fail group buy for a set that was very similar to this. This actually came with the Exent boards, and yeah, it's a lovely key set. I do have my Exent in the ottoman behind me. I haven't built it yet. That's going to be built on stream in a couple of weeks, I hope. So we'll have a look at that when we get around to it, a couple of weeks' time. So as I say, I did have to buy a 7U spacebar, so this actually came from Originative because the set from GMK Exent only includes a 6.25U spacebar. So I had to buy another 6.25U spacebar and a 7U spacebar to make it work. These only just came yesterday, which is quite lucky because if it hadn't come, I would have had to have used a grey one, which wouldn't quite have worked and wouldn't have been as nice. So yeah, I can put that to one side and not have to use it today, which is great. Okay, so the other thing as well is Zeal has actually sent me some additional screws. These hold the weight into the bottom of the keyboard, and the reason is for that because when we look at the board in a minute, you'll see that they're slightly tinged red, and I'm not quite sure why. So we will replace those right at the end of the stream as well. The music is on in the background. I wouldn't say it was weeb music, but turn it up a little bit. You should be able to hear that now, guys. I don't want it too loud. So that's the kit we're going to build the board with. So pop that to one side. And let's take a look at the board. So this is the Zephyr. I'm sure you've all seen these packages now. They come in a lovely box, gilded gold around the edges. And then inside we have the Zeal 65 PCB. Now I've already pre-installed the stabilizers today. I was trying to get a little bit ahead of where I need to be to make sure that I've got time to do the full set of 2 builds today. So these are already installed and lubed. So there we go, they're already in the keyboard. And here is the board itself. So as you can see, lovely shiny plate, a couple of fingerprints on it. But that red and gold look and feel. Upass says hi man, good to see you, dude. I thought it was a fan or heating unit we could hear in the background. No, it's the music was just on a bit quieter, I think. PVD brass, yes it is, and there is a little bit of a cautionary tale with this build as well. So I got this board second hand. I bought it from a good friend of mine on Top Club Discord, and one of the things he'd done is, and I'll show you when we take the plate out, but he'd put some tape around the edges of the plate. The only thing is the adhesive has eaten into the PVD finish, and when you clean it off it goes to a silver colour. That's not because the plate's not made of brass, it is, but to be able to coat brass with PVD you have to nickel coat it first. So effectively what you have is you have the brass layer, then you have a nickel coating layer, and then you have your PVD layer on top. And what the adhesive done is just on the edges of the tabs that we'll see in a few minutes has pulled off some of the PVD coating. But in terms of where you can see the plate, in terms of where it sits on the board, everything's okay. It's literally just hidden behind the bezels. So it's just one of those things. So if you guys ever do want to put anything with adhesive or tape or anything like that sticky on PVD, please don't do it. Just don't do it. It's a little bit of a cautionary tale. In terms of the packaging, you've all seen this before. You get a little nice box in the side for some switches. Your stabilizers come in here as standard, and then this is for all your other accoutrements as well. So I've just put the case screws in there. But without much further ado, let's take the board out. It is in pieces at the moment. I'm just going to take these screws as well. Pop them. They're ready for when we need them later on. Okay. So in terms of the board itself, as you can see, it's this lovely deep shade of red. It's not screwed together at the moment. Nice shiny plate. And there we go. Fingerprints all over the weight, but you know, we can clean them off at the end. And I don't know if you guys can see this on stream, but these are the screws I was talking about before. They are slightly tinged red, so we're going to replace those later on. I think the reflection's catching them. So, yeah, there we go. In terms of how the board works, it's a 2-piece design. So you've got a top and a bottom piece, and it works like this, just like that. You can see just in there where the weight sits. You can also see the residue of the adhesive just on the inside here. That will come off and it will clean off. I've already managed to get it off the anodization in a couple of places, so I'm not too fussed about cleaning that later on. That's a nice, easy thing to do after the stream. As you can see, it's a lovely red colour, angled nicely at the sides. The brass plate, so you can probably see, guys, just here, this is what I was talking about. You can see here where it's pulled the adhesive off. The adhesive pulled the PVD off. So it is nice and smooth and flat there. There is no ridges or raised bits, but it has kind of tarnished the PVD. One of the things I could consider doing is sandblasting the plate and taking it back to bare brass and just having it as a sanded plate. That's something I could consider doing, or I could have it stripped and PVD coated. I haven't decided on doing what we're going to do long term, but for the short term, we're just going to be building it. Just catch up with chat. UPass says, does it have ISO support? No, it doesn't, but this is for my wife, and she honestly wouldn't be able to tell the difference between one or the other. She has that ignorance. I wish I had that so I could enjoy the boards as well. Sock says, yeah, don't stick tape to your $650 custom. This is one thing, when I spoke to the guy, he said he was trying to create like a semi kind of gasket feel. I couldn't feel that, and it wasn't for me, so I wanted to take the tape off anyway. So it's just one of those things. So the tape effectively went around the edge and then underneath as well, so you had tape on top and bottom, and it was kind of padded tape, almost like sticking plaster tape. So the idea was it would add a small amount of compression on the top and the bottom of the plate, so it would just soften that bottom out. That was kind of his idea, but there we go. Bear Brass, yeah, that's something I might consider. What a nice red. Yeah, the red's absolutely stunning, isn't it? It is really nice. Stocks joins the conversation and the standard drops through the floor. Stocks is a good lad. Stocks is a good lad. Either way, it's going to be expensive. Yeah, I'm probably just going to keep it like this. It's going to be my wife's board for work, so she's going to take it into the office. So the plate being like this kind of doesn't bother me too much. There's no effect on the plate where you can see once the top's on, you know, it kind of, all of the bits that are affected are hidden by the bezel, so we're all good from that perspective. And then our minor nicks in removing switches from PVD plates inevitable. So PVD is dead easy to scratch and mark, and just by cleaning it you can mark it. It is really soft, but it's very, very shiny, so you can't see the number of scratches and walls and nicks that are on this there, but they are there. It's just one of the natures of PVD. In terms of the base, so how this works is the plate rests on these tabs here, so one of the tabs here and then here as well, and all the way across, the plate rests on those tabs, and then there's kind of an area underneath which is where the PCB and the accoutrements will sit that stick out the bottom of the PCB, and there's space for sound to develop as well. There's no marks of the brass weight coming through, so it's not a weight that screws on through the inside or anything like that. It's all done through the outside and attaches as such. In terms of the USB port is mounted low and flush, but it's part of the main board. It's not a daughter board, but it is nicely machined in there. So that's the board. That's how we're going to build it. Let's get the PCB ready as well. Okay. In terms of the PCB, guys, you can see it's got this lovely dark grey and gold gold circuitry on it. All of the gold there just looks amazing. Will be designed. Zeal 65 keyboard. This is the revision 1 PCB. Just flipping over to the other side. It has been desoldered once, but it's quite clean and tidy looking for it. It's all in full working order, and it has been converted to VIA, so it's VIA compatible, and it's all set up and ready to go from that perspective as well. Mo says, LOL, gasket feel with a 5mm plate. Hey, if they wanted that, just that bit of softness on the bottom out, I can kind of understand that. But yeah, you're right. I wouldn't buy a 5mm plate board if I wanted a soft feel. Yeah, it's just one of those things. WizBlue says, I wouldn't even mind that for my own board. It doesn't show. Yeah, it doesn't show. You can't see. It's just one of those things. If you're ever going to do it, guys, just don't stick anything to PVD. Zeal is top of the line for 1665 PCBs. It depends on what you're looking for. You know, it depends on if you want to pay the money for it, or if you want hot swap, or whether you want you know, soldered ones or whatever. There's multiple PCBs out there that are top tier. The Plane 60C from Martin is one of my top favourite PCBs at the moment. So you know, it all depends on what you need the board for and what you're looking for in a PCB. Red on unblocked boards is honestly kind of fire. Yeah, the red is stunning. This, I mean, what I can see on my screen is very, very close to the colour of it in real life. It's a real crimson, bright red. It's absolutely lovely. Xpop says, hello bear. Hey man, good to see you. I think, is that Natty? I think that might be Natty, if I remember rightly. Thoughtbot says, I went with Healios on my Zephyr at first, but I'm really feeling silence in it now. Well, this is for my wife's office board, so she wants something that's going to be quiet to type on. She doesn't want something that's too clacky, but she wants something that feels nice. That's why we're going with Healios. Straight Classy says, sup homies. Hey man, good to see you. If only the Zephyr supported a better layout. I like Win keyless layout, and my wife doesn't use Windows at work, so she doesn't need a Win key, so she's all good in that respect as well. If only it was 40%, you're right. Not having to bother with SIP sockets is golden. And Xpop confirms it is natty. Hey man, good to see you. Good to see you. Okay, so we're going to crack on with the build now, guys. So as you can see, I've already put the stabilizers into the board. And you can see that when we put the plate on, they sit nice and evenly, just like so. Let's move this out of the way, actually. I can get this centered on the screen. So what we're going to do now is we're going to clip a few switches into the plate, then we're going to push that through onto the PCB. Once we've done that, we're going to flip it over, solder a couple to get them in place, and then we'll go through and put all the rest of the switches in, and then we'll go back and solder again. Now, one thing I will say as well is on the bottom of the plate, one of the things that Zeal has taken account for, and you can see I've rubbed some lube in here to help with it as well, so ignore the mess, it's just lube. This is where the spacebar stabilizer goes, and the idea is that because the plate is so thick, the stabilizer wire actually goes into the plate, so it recesses into the plate, so that sits in there nice and flush. So yeah, there we go. Just something else I thought I'd show you. As I say, there is a load of lube on the bottom of there though, just to help with any of those wires that may get stuck or to stop any rattle or clatter. And as you can see, they're all fitting nicely in there. Put this to one side as well. Okay, so to crack on, let's get the switches ready. Let's see, lubing the plate improves performance. Oh, well, it's just because of the fact that the wire is going to touch the plate on this board, that's why I've done it. On a normal board, the wire would sit between the plate and the PCB, and it'd kind of have room to move without catching on either side. With this, it's going to catch, it's going to touch, therefore I've just put a layer of thin 205 G0 across it just to make sure that if there is any contact, there's no rattle, there's no noise, there's no feel, there's no movement. Stuck says, I don't know if it's the camera, but the spacebar wire looks like a banana. I think it's just a camera, mate, because it's not, it's dead straight. Here's a news flash, you can flash a win key even if it's win keyless layout. You can, and I've done it with control as tap for Windows and hold for control. There's all sorts of options like that. Sleepiness95 says, I'm not sure if you remember me from a previous stream, but has there been any news on the DCO1? I was literally just talking to someone about this 20 minutes ago. The DCO1 is still happening with mech boards. I haven't spoken to them about it for a little while, but they're still doing the board. I was lucky enough to try out the prototype last year. It was a little bit difficult to build just because of the way that pogo pins work to do the magnetic connections. They're revising that at the moment, and there should be some news soon, is what I know. So there we go. Okay, we're going to carry on and we're going to start to put this together. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put 3 or 4 switches into the plate first, and being a 5mm plate, these switches do clip in, so you can see all these indentations here. That's for the switches to clip in. So I'm just going to put 3 or 4 switches in place. Clip these in properly. 3 on that side, and let's do 3 on this side as well. Now the plate is a fixed layout, there's only one layout you can have with a couple of iterations, so you could have stepped caps lock or normal caps lock, and that's about it. You can do split backspace or full backspace. We're going to do full backspace on this one, but yeah, that's about it. Now I can't remember if this keycap set supports stepped caps, but if it does, we'll go with that. Apologies if this is loud on stream. Well, I'm not seeing a stepped caps lock key. I don't know if anyone can confirm if it does or doesn't support stepped caps. If anyone would be so kind as to go and check and tell me whether it does before I get there, that would be lovely. But I can't see the stepped caps lock in the set at this moment, so I'm going to assume it doesn't until we get there. For some reason the music seems to have died, so I'm just going to try and restart that. Oh, the Zephyr supports stepped caps. I meant the key set. GMK Exent, if anyone wants to just check and see whether it supports stepped caps. There we go, music's back. and then we'll come back to the step caps option shortly. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, guys, is just going to solder these switches in place, making sure that they're nice and flush and the PCB is nice and flat. Stocks, no step. Thank you, Stocks. Thank you. I didn't think it did. From the board I built previously with the set, I didn't think it did step caps. But it's always good to check. Straight Classy says, Jay, you're the man and the Top Clock Discord is awesome. Appreciate you all. Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate that, dude. Appreciate that. Your opinion on Healios versus MX Silent? Healios, definitely. I don't like MX Silents, and I'm not really a silent switch fan, but the Healios are quite nice. Be careful that my TS100 does not die as well. My TS100 is a good iron. It's been working for quite some time. So what we're going to do is we're just going to press down on here, get the PCB nice and flush, and we're just going to solder in these few switches. And then once we've got these in, we'll go through the rest of the board, pop the switches on the top. And then we'll solder the rest of the board. Okay, so that's one side done. I'm going to come over here and do this side. Okay. Okay, I think the TV has decided it doesn't want to play any music, so I apologise for that, guys. We'll have to do it music free unless I can come up with another way of doing it really quickly. Try it one more time. It's been working fine all day, so I don't know why it's stopping now. Matt's TS100 began making sparking sounds during his stream yesterday. Oh dear. He's probably got the wrong size power converter for it. B Copping says he's cleared out some storage for my parents, came across a new 80s portable computer. Didn't work but had a keyboard with what looked like MX Blacks. How will they compare to new ones? Are they worth salvaging? Yes, vintage Blacks are definitely worth salvaging. I would grab those if you can. Okay guys, so that's the few switches that we've put in soldered in place. That gives us a nice flush level PCB and plate, and as you can see, there are all nice and flush together there. You can see there's no gap between the two. So now I'm going to carry on popping switches in, and then we'll go through and we'll solder the board in full once we've completed that. Okay. This should be the easiest part of the build. It should be dead easy to get all of these in nice and quickly, and then we'll be able to get it all soldered together. Yeah, as that hand thing says, take a picture of that old board, the old PC that you've got, and I'm sure some of the guys will be able to take a look and tell you all about it and whether the switches are worth keeping or not. That plate is so thick, does ping become gone? It's that thick that you don't get any ping with it, I'll be honest. When I got the board, it was built with MX Blacks, and there was literally no ping from the board whatsoever. It's just a really thick board, so the thickness just dissipates all of that kind of pinginess. These switches are all going in nice and easily. They are clipping in nicely to the plate. There's very little movement or wobble. Any of that will be removed once we complete the soldering as well. One thing I did notice with the MX Blacks that were soldered into this before is there was actually a little bit of play in them. So if the plate was quite thick, where my finger is, the switches would actually move about a fraction of a millimetre, maybe half a millimetre, but that doesn't seem to be the case with any Zeal switches. Querdenker is calling me out on a joke that he made earlier on. So Quer had a joke about what does the mm stand for in 5mm brass plate. And instead of millimeters, he said it stands for meme. So 5 meme brass plate, which is quite fitting for the community, and I thought it was quite funny. So yeah, it is designed for Zeal switches. I think the tolerances are slightly different between Gateron switches and Cherry switches, and that is the reason why. Yes, you're absolutely right. But the Zeal switches don't have any wobble to them once they're soldered in. They're nice and tight. Everyone liking Querdenker's joke. Yeah, the 5 millimeter plate. Absolutely. And Whitseller saying it's a beautiful board. Thanks, man. The colour is absolutely stunning. These red boards are to die for. The hardest thing is finding a keycap set to go with them. Oops. Okay. Making some good progress now, guys. We'll get all of these switches in place. We'll flip it over. We'll get it soldered. We'll get some, get the board put together. We'll get some keycaps on it, and I'll show you guys what it sounds like in a bit more detail. Oh, and Cyber Sam just subscribed with Twitch Prime. Thank you, Sam. I really appreciate that, dude. Thank you very much, man. And that's a resub times 10. 10 months on the trot. Dude, you are a legend. Upass says, am I going to get Hamon? Yes, I intend to. Sorry, the music's loud now. Yes, I intend to get Hamon. And then pray that the ISO kit makes it to MOQ, because then it will probably go on another board that I have that's red, not on this one. So we'll see. We will see. Gold electroplated caps, or I could get Salvan or one of the other artisan makers, Rama, to make me a full board of aluminium gold PVD caps, because that sounds completely reasonable. Okay, and Stocks confirmed that the GMK Exent key set does not have a stepped caps lock, so we are going to go with the full caps lock. Okay, almost there now, guys. Now, as I say, these switches have been lubed with Krytox 104 on the housing and 106 on the spring, so they are really nice and smooth. I think they're actually smoother than some of my MX switches, MX Blacks and things like that. These are really nice. Much better than Healios. I'm not quite so much of a fan of Healios. Just on the side. So there we go, guys. That's what the plate is going to look like. All that lovely, shiny brass PVD and key switches. Hey, Tidal says, what up, Rubber Duck? Welcome to the stream, Tidal. Good to see you, dude. Straight Class says, lubed with what? I missed it. So in terms of the switches, they're lubed with 104 on the housing, Krytox 104, and they're lubed with, and the stem, and they're lubed with 106 on the springs. So yeah, there we go. Querdenker, I've just seen that you've posted a sad stitch in our Discord server. Please don't be sad. Okay, so we're just going to go row by row now, guys, and just solder all of these switches in. So remember, you don't need too much solder when you're doing stuff like this. You only need a tiny little bit. It's better to add too little and come back later on. Try not to overheat anything as well. You only want a contact of no more than 5 seconds, really. Otherwise you risk damaging components. Try and touch the pad and pin of the switch together at the same time for maybe a quarter of a second, half a second, before you introduce any solder. And then when you do introduce a solder, just introduce enough to ease onto the pad. You don't want to introduce too much and then have problems with it beading and pooling. So you only want a very tiny little amount, and you'll see it actually flow down onto the pad and onto the pin as you're soldering as well. As you're pushing the solder on, you'll see it flow down naturally and automatically. So that's all you want. As soon as you see it flow, you know you've got enough solder there. You don't need to worry about adding it anymore. Okay. Almost through the full first row here. A little bit long on that one. Okay, one row done. Excuse me, I am losing my voice at the minute, so I'm just going to have a drink. Oh, Mo0 with tier 1 sub, thank you very much. 17 months in a row, man, that is one of the longest I've seen. Thank you very much for that, dude, I really appreciate that. And Talisman Solutions with the 1,111 bits. You are the man, dog. Love to see that. Love to see that. Every single stream, you're there, man. One of the top contributors. I think you're in 3rd spot now. Yeah, 3rd spot. You're almost where Olivia is. Another couple of streams, you're going to overtake Olivia for 2nd, man. Let's just catch up with chat before we do this next one. Surprising has time to be sad. All his time is used upon his build. Yeah, that's fair. Querdenker is a EU streamer from Germany, famed for the International Kit podcast, who I was invited to be on a couple of months ago, and also for his extremely long build streams. I think we did one where I was a guest and I was commentating around his build, and I think, what was it, an hour and 10 minutes just for stabilizers, something like that. I don't know. But Soren says you should be able to build a 60% in under 2 hours now. I think Querdenker can absolutely build a 60% in under 2 hours. In fact, what we should do is we should do a build stream race at some point, Querdenker. We should both get on stream at the same time. You should start the build. I'll give you an hour's head start, and then we'll see who finishes first. We'll get a couple of nice little 60% kits, and we'll have a little bit of a race. Okay, just making some progress on this 2nd row now. As I say, this PCB has been desoldered once before. This is the 2nd time it's been built, but everything is working just fine, or it was before I started soldering onto it. So I'm sure it will be after the stream when I test it. I won't be testing it on stream today, just purely because I've got 2 builds to do and I want to make sure that they get done. But you guys know what I'm like. I will confirm if there are any issues with it in the Discord. You will see me cursing and ranting if there are, but I'm not anticipating any with this. Okay. We've got Titan as well. Dang Tally. Yeah, he's going for it, man. He's going for it. Oof, the call out about that. I did that with Max one time with the Chewy 60 and he won by a landslide. We need to do it on stream though, man. We have both of us on stream. I'll get you up on another little camera in the top corner and we can see just how long it goes. Do you guys want a soldering heavy build? If he does, I've got 2 Hyper 7 kits that need SMD soldering, so I was going to sell them, but hey, I'd be willing to donate them to that stream if you're up for it, Quer. We'll do that together. Oh, there you go. Building his white TXCP with Reasers. But yeah, if we're going to do it, Quer, let's do it big. Let's go for the Hyper 7, SMD soldering, and a full build on top. We've got Nebulant as well. Hey, Nebulant. Hey, man. Good to see you, dude. Okay, so we're just going to carry on now. We're going to do the middle road. And I don't know what is wrong with my TV, but for some reason, it's decided to freeze again, I think. Let's just set that going again. There we go. Meta Advice Guide, no, it's not your Hyper 7 PCB. The one that you won is still in the box. You have no worries on that. All of the components are still there as well. I actually sent one to Cryosran, Thomas. I'm sure you all know his videos from YouTube. I sent him one the other day, so he should be getting that this week if he hasn't already received it. Okay. Okay, making good progress now, guys. Almost through this first board in record time as well. Okay, I'm gonna just carry on soldering for a couple of minutes, guys. Sorry I'm not interacting with chat at the minute. I will be there in 2 or 3 minutes, and I'll fully catch up once I've got this all soldered and completed. Just being a bit careful in this area because there's a few components on the board, so I don't want to add too much solder or heat it for too long. Just being very careful in this area. Take an extra close look on that. There we go. Again, music. What is wrong with my TV? If it breaks again, guys, I'm just going to put something else on in the background. Okay, just 2 more rows to go now, including the bottom row, which is the shortest of all rows. I'll try and do these 2 together. One thing I will say for Wilbur is he designs a damn good looking PCB. This does look really, really great. I don't know if you guys appreciate his design skills as much as I do, but in terms of how he lays his boards out, the traces, the solder mask, the colours. I'm not sure if you've seen the new Ocelot board as well. I've just picked up one of those. He designed the PCB for that in a lovely copper and dark grey colour. Yeah, really impressive stuff. Again, just a few components here in the middle, so we're just going to try and avoid those. Make sure we're not cross-contaminating any solder, and making sure it's all neat and tidy. Okay. Down to the last few switches now, guys. Thought we've got a missing pin then. We don't, we're good. Okay. Last 3 switches now, and then we're done. 1, 2, and 3. Okay. There we go. Let's just take a look at that and make sure everything looks okay before we put the soldering iron away for now. So what I'm doing, guys, is I'm just double checking that all of the joints are soldered nice and neatly, that there's no gaps in the solder, there's nothing that needs reflowing, and everything looks okay. Just a touch on this one, just needs reflowing there. Okay, so there we go, that's the board soldered together. I'm just going to pop this to one side. Let's catch up with chat before I pop this in the case and get some caps on it, and let's get a sound test going. So, let's see what's going on. Quaidink says, going for the throat. Yeah, hey man, I'm going to challenge you to that. Or we can do the TR60s, but mine's a long way off yet. Fly Bunny says, hey man, by the way, Fly Bunny says, hey, do you have a stand for your soldering iron? Where do you lay it down when you're not using it? So I don't have a stand for the soldering iron. I just rest it in there. I do have a big stand, but this kind of slips through it. It kind of encompasses it all the way around. It kind of slides all the way through, so I tend not to use it. When I'm not using it, I have a little cup, which is a division cup for the video game. I've got a lot of tools in here, and it just goes in there. Dig the iron into your leg enough and eventually have a hole deep enough for it to hold. That's true, Stocks, but I'm not going to go and do that. Yeah, the music's crap. I don't know what's going on with the TV, sorry, but yeah. Build in solder iron holder. I'm going to 3D print one, I think. I really do think I'll 3D print one. Jay's Fearless in his lap. Ask yourself, have I ever actually seen his legs? You probably, can you just see him at the edge here? I don't know. There you go, there's my legs. They exist. I do have legs. Quaidink says apparently Jay uses his desk mat as iron holders. Yeah, you can see the burn marks. I do have another desk mat under here, but I like the look of this one. It looks good on stream, so there we go. Did I see the traces on the Master Alt keyboard? Yes, I did, and I wasn't a fan, if I'm honest. I did see that someone jerked with Hatter about his auto route and not actually written them properly, so yeah. The Kira seemed to have some fun problems too. Yeah, I did see that with the RF interference. It was interesting. It's one of those things. Will you ever root the PCB by hand? Maybe. Yeah, that was his response, wasn't it? Yes, I remember that. Someone gift that stat. And we've got Keck for him as well. What have we missed so far? So far, you have missed that we are building a Zephyr, a Zeal Zephyr with Zeal Healios switches in there and Zeal stabs as well. The board is this lovely red and gold colour. If I can pick that up and turn it over, there you go. A few fingerprints, but we'll get rid of those in the end. And then once this build's complete, which it will be in just a few minutes, then we're going to crack on with a JER-Mini or a JER-Mini or a Germany, as in the country, which is the joke that me and my EU friends have come up with. So yeah. The Ice is Nice 33 says, hey, just got on. Are both the Build Today personal boards? Yes, I own both the boards. This one is actually a gift for my wife. She's going to use this in the office. She loves red as a colour, and she likes the whole red and gold theme, so she's going to use this in her office at work. And then the JER-Mini is my board, which is probably going to replace this board up here, which is an Oxford 268. I'm probably going to use that a little bit more often. No legs, J Grum began. Fair enough. Despite how expensive it is, I have to admit the board looks gorgeous. The Zephyr is indeed a very sexy board. Not going with fax stabs, kind of disappointed. Don't worry, because our next build is going to have fax stabs. So there will be GMK stabs on the second build, so don't worry about that. This board, it kind of felt like, because it's a Zephyr and it's Zeal, it should be all Zeal products, and that's what it is, apart from the lube. So yeah, that was the kind of design decision I went for. So the plate doesn't screw in or connect in any other way. It's sandwiched between the top and the bottom half, and as you can see, it fits flush around all the edges of the bottom half of the case. And then we have the top half of the case, which I have to remember which way it goes round. Yeah, that's it. Which sits on just like so. And there we go. So what I'm going to do now is flip this over. I'm going to screw it together. Once it's screwed together, then I'll start to pop the keycaps on it. Now I just have to remember which size bit I need for these. So, nope, too big. Let's go down a size. There we go. Okay. So remember guys, when you're bolting a board together like this, you always want to put the first one in, not tighten it fully, you're just using it to hold it there, and then you want to go diametrically opposed. So you're always going to jump over to the far side. And the reason we do this, same as when you're building anything else like an engine or screwing anything together, minimises flex, minimises any chance of damage to the board. Tighten that one up, come back to this one, we can now tighten that one up fully, and that will give us a nice flush board all the way around. Make sure this is nice and tight. Okay. So while doing this, we'll try and catch up. Titan says, oh, the JER-Mini. Well, that might be something different. After the J01, which is the board I'm developing at the moment, there might be something a little bit smaller, maybe a 40%, we'll see. I'm not sure if that'll be called the J02 or something different. Nice is nice. Deciding whether to get in on the Xeno Group Bison. I just won the raffle for the QCP. Oh, nice, man. The Xeno is a lovely board as well. If the layout works for you, then absolutely go for it, dude. Absolutely go for it, dude. Talisman Solutions says, Jay, can you explain why you're looking so much more hipster since you joined Top Clack? Has Quakeham's been that much of an influence on your personal style? I haven't changed at all, man. Clearly you didn't watch my old streams. I've probably worn this t-shirt in 4 or 5 streams. I rarely shave unless I go to the barbers, and my hair is always perpetually long. So I don't know what's changed. Where are we going? There we're going. You may have seen my streams just before Christmas on my old channel where I had just had a haircut. I am due for another one, at which point I'll get the barber to look after the beard as well. So it's probably probably that you're thinking of, man. Oh, nice that the gold screws match as well. Yeah, the screws are a lovely touch. They're exactly the same shade as the brass weight. They do look really, really good. Jay's always been a cutie. Oh, thanks, James. Thanks, man. Woo 40%, and Anarchy says J 0.4. That'd be cool. Yeah, oh, Titan, yeah, exactly what I was thinking. Yeah, that would be cool. Maybe we'll go with that, actually. Maybe we'll go with that. Okay. So there we go, guys. That's the board put together. There is one small thing I do need to do, which is just change 2 of these screws that are holding the weight on. So I think I need a slightly smaller bit for those. Too big. There we go. In fact, we'll change all 4 because I've got 4 new ones to go in. And while we're doing this, we'll take a look at the weight outside of the board as well. So those are the 4 old screws. And I'll just take a look at this weight separate to the board. So here's the weight. It's more of an accent piece personally, I think, than a weight. It's fairly chunky, it's fairly heavy, but it's not massively thick. It's more of just an accent piece, and doesn't really affect the weight of the board too much. Oh, and Quirdenker just subscribed with Twitch Prime. Thank you, man. I really appreciate that, dude. Really appreciate that. Jay has always been a dapper looking lad. I'm not sure about dapper, but I'll take what I can get. And we're going to put these new 4 screws in. I really appreciate that, Quirdenker. That's really nice to see. Thank you, dude. I appreciate anyone who subs or doesn't. Odin says fingerprints. Yeah, we'll wipe them off when we're done with the build. Don't you worry about that. Okay. In before the bit slips makes a large scratch in the way. If it does, I won't be happy. Just imagine the sound. Yeah, it would not be pleasant. Would look nice with a Zephyr infilled red to match the case. Oh, Anarchy, don't tell me that. That's a really good idea. That's a really good idea. I'm really tempted to do that. Shouldn't the weight be turned around? No, that's the front of the board. That's the back. In fact, I've just realised, guys, I've put the lid on the wrong way around. So we're actually going to have to undo all of this and start again. That's a really good shout, because this is the back of the board, which is where the USB port is, and the USB port is currently blocked because I've put the top on the wrong way around. So we'll quickly catch up. The front shouldn't be oriented to the USB. No, it's always been going the other way around. Great performance. Yeah, easily done, guys. Easily done. Will just be 2 minutes and we'll be caught up. Great performance. This is making sure that I catch back up to your stream build times, Quirdenker. Please see a doctor if the back makes the sound that Jade made. You truly are my apprentice. Yeah, you know it, man. You know it. Luckily, this is a 30-second fix. He says, taking more than 2 minutes to take all these screws out. Okay, we're almost there, guys. And we're only an hour into the stream, so we have got another half an hour technically to finish this build off before we need to start on the next one. There we go. So just going to go finger tight on that one, and then as I said before, diametrically opposed, and we'll quickly whiz through all of these. Tighten this one back up. There we go. Small steps, young Padawan, small steps, absolutely. Hey, easy mistake to make. Ruined, yeah, board needs to go in the trash now. Oh, Fax, you mean about the stabs? Yeah, it's just one of those things, Fax. It's no slight against you. The next board will be built with your stabs. Don't you worry about it. Dr. Devil says, wow, that is quite the colour. Is the red as bright as it looks on camera? Yeah, from what I see on my screen here, it's almost exactly the same. It's slightly different, but barely. It is a very, very vivid red board. At least Jay's not Romanian. Don't know what being Romanian's got to do with anything. Easy $500 gone. Yeah, I put the top on the wrong way around. That's it, guys. In the bin it goes, man. That's it. It's absolutely done. There we go. That didn't waste too much time, guys. We're almost there now. I mean, who needs 12 screws to hold the board together? That's just insane. Okay, looks like we've got an issue with the music again. It lasted 20 minutes that time. There we go. Don't you just love wireless home networking? I suspect it's because the missus is using the YouTube account downstairs, and that's probably causing challenges with it. Put some Minecraft on, Jay. No. Mr. Petrov, hello, good evening, good sir. Welcome to the stream. Thank you very much for watching. Okay guys, that's the board now put together correctly with the correct orientation, and you can see there that we can actually access the USB port. So there we go. Let's plug it in and see what happens when we power it up. I'm not sure if I've got the LEDs turned on the PCB or not. I don't have the USB port plugged in the PC. But there we go, guys. That's what the board will look like when it's all done. It has connected to the PCB actually. Let's get some caps on it and see how it goes. First thing we're going to do is pop on the spacebar. And then we'll work our way around the rest of the caps. As they come out. Right. Excuse the noise now. I do apologise. Man, it's a shame that it's ANSI only. Well, the thing is, I don't like ANSI only boards. That's my kind of thing. Hang up. Don't think we're going to use the red keys, guys. Doesn't quite look right. I think we're just going to stick with black. But everyone likes different things, and if we all like the same thing, then the world would not be as pretty a place as it is. Anything that anybody uses at all ever, especially in this hobby, is all down to preference. There's no right, there's no wrong, there's no, you know, black or white. It's all different shades of grey. Everyone likes something different, and that's not something to be sniffed at. That's kind of like a positive for the community. The fact that we can all build the boards that we want in the way that we want, in the layout that we want, that's a beautiful thing, and it's something that should be celebrated irrespective of what people like or dislike. I, for one, am all for people being able to do and use whatever they like. Okay, I'm going to make some good progress here getting the caps on. Oh, there we go. So let's just turn all these over, get ready to use them. UIO, there we go. So ISO key, we don't need that or that or that. Okay. Making some good progress here, guys. We've got FN there. I don't think we need that key actually. I think we'll come back to that. There we go. Okay. We're getting there, guys. This is looking good. And Earthy just subscribed with Twitch Prime. Thank you very much, man. Sorry I missed that. I do see you there. I do see that, man. Apologies. I hope that my stabs will arrive sometime soon. Point zero. I'm sorry if you're not getting your stabs, man. Fax is a legend for posting out stabs. So if you are unsure, order through Fax. I've never had a problem getting my stabs through him. Met advice guy says, we never had this conversation. Oh, right, sorry. People complain about how hard the necro caps were to read. Look at those keycaps. These are even worse. They're actually easier to see in real life than they are on stream, I'll be honest with you. These are grey on black. They are quite legible. I'm not sure if it's going to pick it up on camera, but the contrast isn't that bad. They're quite legible in real life. Yeah, I like them stealth. Yeah, they look good. Okay, almost there now, guys. Okay. Okay. Looks like I'm missing some keys. Have I put them in here? Yep. There we go. Shift. And I know the escape keys on my little macro pad that you can see just above here. The actual black escape keys on there, so I'll put that on there for now. Okay. Let's just see what we're going to do on this right hand side. I'll probably go with a delete. Page up, page down, and then I'll probably put an artisan in that top corner. We'll just pop that there for now. It's the wrong keyway, but it'll do for now. And then what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to actually put the mods on here. So we're going to use the lovely glove cap artisans. And as you can see, the red has been really close to match. It looks closer in real life, guys, than it does on the camera. Does this red here? And do you know what? I'm going to change up this and use both sets of mods. There we go. And there we go, guys. That's the board all put together. Glove cap mods for this bottom row, giving it almost a wing keyless appearance. The light does mess with the red. These have actually got sparkly bits in, so the light's making them look lighter on the screen than they actually look in real life. It's actually really close to the colour of the anodization in real life. There you go, you can kind of see it there. It's a much better match when I get it out of the direct light. Non-one new artisans, how rare. Yeah, these were a special commission from Glove Caps. I asked him to make these for me for this board specifically, just to match the key set and the board directly. So as you can see, guys, from that angle, you can see how the keycaps are made. Two-tone keycaps, black on top, red on the bottom, and then black on bottom and red on top. And then replicating on the other side as well, just to make it look kind of nice and matching. And Talisman Solutions gifted a tier 1 to 0.0. Thank you very much, dude. 25 subs you've gifted. Dude, that is amazing. Man, you are up there, dude. Seriously, thank you very much. Big shout out to Glove Caps as well for making these artisans for me. I really appreciate it, dude. They look fantastic. They feel fantastic as well. Let's catch up with the rest of the conversation, see what's going on. That red is gorgeous. Yes. What are the keycaps? The keycaps are GMK Exent. Yankar, hey man, good to see you, dude. What has been built? This is a red Zephyr for the wife. We're going to be my wife's workboard. There we go, with GMK Exent. That set will be perfect for me Anzi build. Yeah, it's lovely. It's a really nice set. Someone said Anzi. Apologies if I missed it, but what lube is used on the Healios. So Mr. Petrov, on the Healios we have got Krytox 104 on the housing and the stems, and we've got Krytox 106 on the springs. Stock springs, no spring swap here. The Healios are completely stock. I like them stealth. Yep. Anzi's not available yet, no. Fax is top stab guide, yes he is. He's great in the EU and worldwide. Odin says, do I think that Imstar and BSP PBT caps are worth the price premium? Personally, I don't have any. I've not tried any. I have seen issues with the stems where they're not straight and they're kind of wonky. That kind of puts me off a little bit. Build reminds me of Kit from Knight Rider a little. Oh man, yeah, if I could have the LEDs going backwards and forwards, that'd be cool, wouldn't it? Just on the bottom row. Please could you give us a close-up of those artisans, please? Yes, sure. Let me try and get them underneath this camera. So you can see here. There you go. God, the board's heavy at this angle. I don't want to drop it. If anyone does want some pictures of the artisans, I can take them later on. Just for good measure, let's try and get them in this view here. Try and get the red to show as it actually is. There we go. But Glove does great work. Glove caps, absolutely fantastic. I'll take some pictures of these later on. The light is messing with the red a little bit, yes. Great match, very cool. They do match really well in real life. It's a much closer match, especially in the light. It's really difficult to get the reds to show on camera, especially given the sparkles in these. But I think you can see here that the red in the shadow is actually really close to the colour of the board. And around this key as well, that's the colour they are. These ones are just shining a little bit brighter. What's that board? It's a Zephyr, Martin. Thank you very much for joining as well, dude. Are the expensive meme? Yes, all boards are expensive memes, realistically. Is there any updates on the Anzi group buy? It's happening. It should be sometime around March time. I'm in close contact with Max. He's got it all on board and everything's on track. Top Clack, favourite spring weight in a Switch? 78 grams, usually 78 grams. What's a logic for such a heavy lube on the springs? I always thought that sort of stuff was used more on stabs. No, 106 isn't that heavy really. It's still an oil. So basically I'd prefer an oil on the springs because the oil kind of winds down the spring, and then the more you use it, the more it kind of moves up and down the spring as well. That's the logic behind it. So yeah, so that's why I do it that way. Zeal sings of the rest that need to be drowned in lube, obviously. Do you see alchemy there on the KBD67? Well, first of all, that is not a KBD67. This is a Noxery 268. But yes, you do see DSA Chris Swires or the DSA Alchemy. But this is a Noxery 268. So there you go. Okay. 106 is an oil. Yes, it is. Yeah, it's not a thick lube. Show the KBD67 with alchemy. It's not a KBD67, Natty. It's a Noxery 268. 78 grams, of course. Look at the size of Jay's fingers, man. He cracked keycaps. Yeah, I've got thick fingers, fat fingers, big square palms, and short, fat fingers. That's just my hands all over. Cyberstam says, stunning board, Jay. Hope the wife shows her appreciation. She's a very lucky woman. Yeah, I hope she's going to appreciate it. I've got another little artisan coming the next couple of days, which I'll replace up here, and I will move the escape cap from my little macro board onto here as well. Luddite build race, that'd be a good idea, yeah. Why not use the 104 and the springs as the rest of the switch? 104 goes all the way down the spring and then it ends up pooling in the bottom, is what I find. 106 is a bit thicker and stays on the spring better. KBD 67 Major, oof, yeah. Alchemy, yeah. Evidently you're right, it's a really good set. I bought it on your recommendation from your number one. KBD 67, you say. Zonda is looking for a corner to cry in right now. He can do that in his BMW. Oof. Oof, yes, he can. Okay, guys, so that's the first build of the day done. I'm going to move this board just out of the way now. I'm going to pop it back in its case just for safekeeping. Oh, in fact, let's do a sound test. Let me show you what it sounds like, although it's very quiet. So just for reference, let me bring this board over and unplug it as well. Oh, I just want to make sure I'm not... Sorry, picking up the board turned off the sound. I do apologise. At least I think it did. There we go. Okay, we're back. Okay, so this is just MX Blacks on a top mount board, just for your reference. Okay, that's that. Let's do a 10-thumb typing test. Yeah, I'm going to call it that, 10-thumb typing test. So this typing test number one done. So this is the Zephyr with Healios, Lubed with Krytox 104 and 106, and GMK Exent. There you go. So it's very quiet. It's very silent. Yeah, there's very little noise in the room. It's very thocky, even though there's silent switches. It's perfect for a workboard. It's lovely and silent. These little artisans look great and feel great. For most typists who have a light typing feel, you're barely going to be able to hear the board. Yeah, it is the keycaps hitting the top of the switches. Yeah, that's the noise that you hear. I mean, if I type gently, like most people do, you can't hear it. If I type really loud, it's not particularly loud. It's a great board. It looks fantastic. It works really well. There's the brass. I'll polish that up before I give it to the wife later on as well. There we go. That's the first build done of the day. An hour and a quarter in. Nothing like speeding through these boards. Okay. So that's that board done and popped away. Mr. Petrov, yeah, you get more of a clack if you hit the top of the cap. Yeah, you absolutely do. Yeah, that's absolutely right. Okay, let's get the music back on, catch up with chat, and then we'll start moving on to the next one. Gemmas, it does sound a little bit tinny, I think I agree, but that's more the fact that it's just a really thick plate and the caps are catching on the top. Not to be rude, but what about O-rings? You could add O-rings, but they're silent switches anyway. I mean, if you compare them to what this board sounds like, you know, it's way quieter, way quieter. Just reconnect that. There we go. Okay. Excuse me. Okay, great. So yeah, so I think Mr. Pressure will be right. I think when I caught it off center, I caught it towards the top of the switch. That extra little clack, as you say, it was just the keycap hitting the housing. It's just one of those things that happens with cherry keycaps on those switches. Talisman Solutions is perfect for the wifey near the Wii ones. We don't have any Wii ones, but yeah, she'll be using them in the office at work. If you hit the bottom, it's harder to make it hit the top of the switch. Yeah. Bug Whisper says it's an absolute stunner. Thank you, man. It is a lovely, lovely board. Yeah, cool. Okay, guys, so the next build that we're going to do today is the JER-Mini, or the JER-Mini, or as my EU friends like to call it, the JER-Mini. So this board, I got it earlier on this week, and I'll be honest, it's absolutely stunning. I'll show you what we're going to build it with first of all. We're going to use some GMK screw-in stabilizers, which came from Fax, so thank you very much, Fax. Really appreciate that. We are going to use, this is a temporary keycap set just for this board. We're going to use GMK Royal Alpha with the white mods. So you can see that's a lovely green set. I haven't thought about exact layout, but this is a double shot and die sub keycap set. So if you can see here, there's two legends. There's a Dark Legends here, which is double shot, and there's a pad printed die sub type legend on there as well, which is in the AE green, which is this one. So that's what the set looks like. That's the keycap set we're going to use. In terms of switches, we're going to use Tangerine switches. So these have been lubed with 205 grade 0. So these are a linear switch, and they are very smooth now. They've been lubed with 205 hopefully they will sound just as good as they feel, because they feel really nice. So yeah, that's what we're going to build the board with. My dog's at the door again, you might be able to hear in the background. And this is the board and the box. So as you can see, it's got the JER plant logo on the box. A little bit of a scratch on the box that came in travel. But other than that, it's a lovely, elegant box. It's really nice. Let's just catch up with chat, see what's going on. JER-Mini hype, boys. Yeah, this is lovely. It's stunning. Just established dominance and use navy switches at work. Yeah, maybe. The JER-Mini. Yeah, love it. Yeah. It's also white, so very German indeed. Oh wow, Quer. I'm glad a German said that joke and not a Brit. I couldn't use jades at work. My office would hate it if I did that. The ice is nice. It says this was a 10 unit only sale, right? Yes, it is. So there's only 10 of these. This is a kind of a one-off run for the white colour. There is going to be a further group buy with some more units later on, but I don't have the numbers, and there will be other colours available, but no more white ones. It's just this run for the white ones. All orange switches today. Yeah, just by chance. I would like to rebuild this at some point in the future with a custom plate and some tactile switches, but for now we're just going to go with the tactile, so with the linears and with the universal plate that comes with the board. Yeah, I love Gator-on linears too. Yeah, they are Gator-on linears, basically just the same as on any other. These have been spring swapped though to a 78 gram spring, which is my favourite spring weight. Fantastic choices in switches this evening. Yeah, thank you very much. I'm waiting on ski data to go with an orange Cleep and Tangerine's orange LEDs. That sounds good actually. Yeah, I like that, Bug Whisper. Yeah, go for it. I don't know what you mean just for the meme. Meh. I'm not sure what you mean there, dude. Okay, so I'm going to show you the boxing first, because this is lovely. It's a really nice experience opening this up. So you don't get to see the board straight away, but it kind of teases you in. Now, when I first opened this, the PCB was here along with some rubber feet and some spare screws. I've already put the PCB in the board, although it's not soldered or anything, just to check for fitment and things like that. And I've already put the rubber feet on the board as well, because I had it on the desk and I didn't want to scratch it. So that's kind of what you get at that kind of level. And then you get a nice piece of foam, and then underneath this piece of foam is where we find the board. And I'll be honest, it is absolutely beautiful. There we go, guys. This is the JER-Mini. This is actually the wrong way around. So stunning white, really crisp and clear. Grey plate. Eventually GMK Space Cadet is going to go on this board, but for now we're going to go with the GMK Royal Alpha. There is a logo here in the top corner which I'm going to infill at some point in the future, but not on stream today. I need to get some colours that will match the keycap set that's going to be on here permanently. And we've got this lovely LED bar at the bottom with 3 LEDs. That's kind of a separate accent piece. Okay, let's take the board out and I'll see if I can show you the see if I can show you the logo actually, guys. See if you can see that. I don't know if that's showing up on screen, but just there, just in that top corner, JER, and then it's got a really tiny mini logo between the E and the R at the top as well. I don't know if you can see that, guys. I hope you can. I hope you can. The other option is let's try and get it on this camera. Don't know if you can see that. There we go. One of the other things that's unusual about this board is the weight, but we'll come on to that in a second. Just want to show you again this front bar. So it does sit at slightly an angle. It's slightly raised and slightly beveled off of the board. You can kind of see if I turn it to this angle here. You can kind of see that that's kind of raised here off the board. That's by design. It's just kind of like a little lip. And as we said before, we've got the 3 indicator LEDs which show on that from here down in this bottom corner. In terms of the board itself, it is a bottom tray mount board. It doesn't have any elements of sandwich or anything like that. It does have case alignment places where you can see just here where there's a gap between the PCB and the edge of the case, just there. And then guys, just turning over, this is the weight. So this is the money shot. This is the nice part. The brass weight with the JER-Plant logo, and it says JER-Mini version 1, December the 1st, 2018 AD. But that just looks absolutely stunning. Greg says, enjoy your time with the board. We'll catch you. We'll watch you get to tomorrow on the VOD. Good night, man. Good night, dude. And Talisman Solutions has just gifted another sub out today to Martin Wood. So very well done, Martin. There you go. It's well deserved. So you guys, of course, going to make this ANSI, right? This is going to be an ISO board. As you can see, again, some lovely brass screws. Little black feet which offset the white. One of the interesting design features on this board, and it's really difficult to show you, but there's kind of like a lip here that runs all across the edge of the board, which kind of separates the bottom. And if I show you just there, you can see how it's in kind of like 3 distinct pieces. So you've got the side, you've got a ledge here that goes all the way to the back, and you've got a further bottom ledge that comes out, which gives it the angle. So there we go. So I've been looking really forward to building this for a couple of days now since it came, and I can't wait to get started. So let me know in your chat what you think, guys. I think this looks absolutely stunning. I can't wait to get it built. All of the little things about the board look great. It's just really nice. The only downside that I have with the board is the USB port is a little bit big for the USB. Now it might be that it doesn't sit so flush to the bottom and it sits centrally once we've got it soldered together, but we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, I love a good white board. So yeah, looking forward to building this. So let's take it apart and I'll show you guys the internals. I don't think I've got the right size bit here. No, I need a smaller one. Nope, need a smaller one again. We'll get there, guys. Pusher says, Jay getting me all moist. Nice small details from Talisman. Talisman, you're a legend, dude. All the stuff you do for the stream, man. I can't thank you enough. Mo0 says, that is dope as fuck. Yes, it is, man. It's amazing. It's absolutely stunning. Is the white very bright or like a test cricket cream? It's really bright white. It's very close to the camera. So my desk is pure white. You can see that this is almost the same colour. It is really bright white. If you remind me at the end of the stream, I will get out the white TX65, which is from Kin. That's a very different white process. This is a lot tougher than the powder coating that Kin uses. This is proper, some sort of electroplating. I think it's not anodization, it's not paint, it's some kind of something in between, but it's a lot tougher, a lot nicer. So yeah. But if you remind me right at the end of the stream, I'll get them out and you'll be able to compare the 2 whites next to each other. My wallet is happy I missed this, but my soul, heart and fingers are so sad. It is lovely. Yeah, I really like it. The ice is nice. 33 says, are you putting artisans in the left column? When I get GMK Space Cadet, which will be the true set that's for this board, yes, I will be. I've already asked Glove from Glove Caps to commission me some artisans that will be sculpted row 4, 3, 2, 1 and cherry. So yes, I can't wait for those. Did they offset the weight because more material on the right at the front? I've no idea. I think they offset the weight just for aesthetic reasons rather than any practical reason. I don't think there's any practical reason as far as I can tell. The band, the line goes all the way across, so there's it's not any more or less material no matter where you cut it, as far as I can tell. The same on the internals as well. You can't see it just yet, but there's the same on the internals. White is the new purple. Yeah, that's a good sign, a good thing. Last time I tried to make JER-Mini all white, bad things happened. Pass, but yeah, okay. Jay, how are you with soldering MCUs and SMD parts? Mediocre at best. I tend to get Martin Watt to do all of my SMD soldering, because whilst I can do it, I'm very slow at it. I'm not as fast as I am at soldering normal parts. And Pona, hey man, good to see you, dude. He says Space Cadet is going to look nice as on this board. Yes, I agree. That's why I want to put it on there. It will be here later on this week. Will the GMK Space Cadet set after a bit of a trade with Tyson. I don't know if you're still watching, man, but hey Tyson, the set should be here in the next couple of days, and he's got one of my sets as well. Okay, so once we've taken this off, we'll take a little bit more look at the internals of the board, then we'll crack on with the build. Yanka says, trust me, you pass. You don't want Jay soldering SMD parts. Hey man, I learnt from you. I can solder SMD parts. Met Advice Guy says, I mean, it's nice and all, but it's a bit of a meme. It's not a 40%. Fair comment, fair comment. So here we go, guys. You can see the internal. So I'll show you the inside of the top first. So you can see we've got, oh, I'll show you that in a second. So you can see here we've got some slight raised ridges. In fact, you can see this one better from the shadow. Those are alignment marks as one down all four sides. These are the screws that screw in from the bottom of the board. Sorry, these mount points here, all across the plate and the PCB. There is some rubbers that that came with the board that you can put in there. I'm not going to bother with those. I think it's that you can almost kind of semi-gasket mount the tabs on the plate, which I'm not going to do. And then this is where the 3 LEDs go as well. Now I have ordered some LEDs that I don't have yet, so they aren't going in the board today, so we're not going to be doing those today. But you can see that they do sit down here nice and neatly just at the front there. So we'll be doing the LEDs another day when I get around to it. And then there's 2 pads up here as well for SMD underglow LEDs, which again won't be going on the board today, and I suspect that's because in future there might be something that's going on behind this section here, which is where the JER logo is. Looking from the top, so you can see that the piece fell out earlier on is the bar that sits in there, so that does sit in as a separate piece. What I have asked the retailer of the board is if I can get another one of these pieces cut in brass to match the weight, because I think that would look really nice on the front of the board. But there we go. Just looking at the internals then, you can see here that the plate is bottom mount. It's not sandwiched in any way, so the plate does flex into the bottom of the tray. But it is a bottom mount board. It's a true bottom mount board, so there you go. Okay, so we're just going to take this out, and then we can take, once we've got the plate out, we can have a look at the internals, we can have a look at the PCB, and then we can crack on with the build. So I'm going to need that. Let me just find a screw that's small enough to do these. Too small. And why can I not find the one I'm looking for? There we go. I think that's what I need. There we go. Okay. Now, I think I will change these screws at some point because these do worry me. These are hex mount screws, but they seem to like rounding quite easily, so I will be changing these at some point for something a little bit less Chinesium. And in fact, I may not even screw this back in when we put it together. Because these do absolutely terrify me to do these screws. They are rounding already, and I've only screwed them in once. And they aren't in particularly tight either, so this is something that I will replace. I don't have any to hand at the moment. I did try these earlier on, these little silver screws, but they don't actually quite fit, I don't think. When I was lining one up, I couldn't get it to screw in. Oh, maybe we might be alright with that. Might try those when we actually put it back together. Okay, let's just catch up with the chat. The biggest meme out there is Chinese New Year. Yeah, delayed my JER-1. I think it's got into the post, but I'm not 100% certain. Still waiting for the 50 assembled. So I think Mr. Petrov has just put the 50 together. Actually, I'm sure I saw that yesterday. Oh yeah, he says he just built it yesterday. I like the 50. I think it's nice. 50% is just a 40% with a number, yeah, or a numpad or something thereof with another 10 keys or so, yeah. Can I ask, do you build these yourself, or what am I missing? Yeah, I'm going to put this all together myself, Rygar. Thank you for watching as well, dude. This is a custom keyboard. Prionic is 50%, yeah. I mean, 40% is already so close to 45% that it's cheating to call it a 40%. Well, I don't know, I'm not sure I agree with that. Jay, for the 24-hour stream, please add your best dissertation on British wit to catch us Yankees up with a bit of the core techniques. We Brits don't have any wit or witticism about us, dude. Sorry to disappoint. But seeing that there isn't any set rules for naming, line is up to the runner to decide. That's very true. Okay, so as I said before, this is a true bottom mount board. The lip around the edge doesn't actually sit with the plate, so it's a true bottom mount. The plate would actually fall into the bottom of the tray if the tabs weren't there. This is a PCB. It says JER plant on it. You can see we've got the LEDs parts down here. The pads I mentioned before, so for some top mount canoe style underglow on top of the board, which won't work with this top piece, but hopefully in one later on. And then here we have the bottom of the board, standard. All of the diodes and everything pre-soldered. A couple of different layout options. We will be going fully ISO, yeah, there we go. All nice and simple. Inside the board, you can see that we've got the brass weight. It's been polished, not quite as much as the outside. Absolutely lovely on the inside as well. Cut out here for the bottom LEDs. And really nice finish on the white. Looks like they've used the screw marks for the hooks when they've been coating it for whatever they've been doing, because there is some slight blemishes around there. But other than that, anywhere where you can see on the board, it's in perfect condition. I'm just going to move that out of the way. So what we're going to do now, guys, is build the plate and PCB. And get the switches ready. What my recursive chat says, what are your guys' thoughts on O-rings? Personally, I dislike them. I'm not a fan of them. Yeah, I'm not a fan of them. O-rings are only good for certain mount types like burger mount and things like that. Okay. And now we've got the switches ready. We'll just jump onto the stabs. So for this build, what we're going to do is we're going to have an ISO build. With a 6.25U space. So for here we need one for backspace, we need a stabilizer for backspace, a stabilizer for enter, and a stabilizer for the spacebar. So I'm going to clip and lube these on stream in just 1 second. Okay, make sure we've got everything lined up that we need, and then we can get rid of any extras. I shouldn't have put these here. Let's get these over to the side. Okay, there we go. That's everything we need for this build. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to clip the inserts. So on the insert, and I'm going to try and show you this as clearly as I can, you'll see here that there is a thin leg just where my thumb's tapping. That leg and the one that's diametrically opposed to it in this top corner, we're going to trim off. And we're going to clip both of those off to stop it feeling mushy on the bottom out. And the other thing we're going to do as well is, you can probably not see this, but if you look just where my finger is here, you can see there's a little nubbin that's not quite flush with the bottom, we're going to make sure we take that off as well. So we're going to clip one leg off and make it flush on the bottom. We're going to clip the other leg off, make sure it's flush on the bottom, and then what we end up with is just a two-pronged. It's really difficult to show you this on stream, guys. Just a two-pronged leg. There we go. There we go. You can see just two legs there now, and it's nice and flush on the bottom as well. So we're just going to replicate that across all of the parts. As I say, the reason we're clipping them is to make sure that we can remove any of that mushy bottom out feeling that you get with the traditional GMK stabilizers or cherry stabilizers. This isn't needed on Zeal stabs, and that's part of the reason why I didn't bother showing me lubing the stabs either, because we'll be covering them on this build. Okay, so there we go, that's all those clipped. There we go. So once they're clipped, you make sure that they're flush on the bottom. It's really difficult to show you this, guys, but there's no raised part on the bottom there. It's just kind of flush and flat and smooth. You can feel with your finger if there's any raised parts, you can always trim those off. In terms of building the stabilizer, what we're going to do is we're going to take the housing, and at the front of the housing you can see the wire clips into the front. You're going to take the insert, and it's got one hole on one side and it's got two holes on the other side. I'm not sure if you can see that. There you go, two holes. The two holes go to the front, so we're going to slide it inside the housing that way. We're going to take the wire, we're going to push it inside the bottom hole, and then we're going to clip it into the front. And there you go, you see that's how that all works. We're going to replicate that across the rest of the stabilizers, and then we'll move on to swiftly lubing them. Now, there's multiple ways you can lube them. I have my way. Some people like it, some people don't, stocks. But there's more than one way to skin a cat, and as long as you like the way you do it, there's nothing to worry about. Okay. And we're going to have one more stabilizer build here. Remember, two holes to the front, wire into the bottom hole, and then clip into the front of the housing. And the same on the final side. Okay, I'll just pop these screws to one side as well. Okay, once they're all done, I like to lube with dielectric grease, so I use silicone dielectric grease. This is from a car dealership. Put a little bit in the lid. Move the lube to one side when you don't need it. I then like to take a small brush, and what I do is I take a thin layer on the brush, take the stabilizer, pull the insert out of the housing, brush on one side, flip it over, brush on the other side, go to the back where you can see the wire popping out of the back of the stabilizer housing, that little silver dot just there. Take a small blob on the end, push it all the way through with the brush, turn the switch over, the stab over, a nice rice-sized piece amount on the bottom. Paint it nice and thick on the bottom. Back to the top, a little bit more lube, and then a really good coating just all around the wire wherever it's going to touch anything plastic. I'm going to move on to the other side and replicate this really quickly. So with a little bit of practice, this becomes easier. As I said, there's more than one way of skinning a cat, so if you guys don't like this way, feel free to use your own methods that you like. I know that Stocks doesn't like the way I do this. Some other people do, some people don't. All down to the individual. So I've got plenty of lube on here. Okay, that's one done. Onto the spacebar. On the other side. Into the back. Nice amount on the bottom, just to soften out any of that downstroke. Flip it back around, all over the wire. Anywhere the wire touches plastic, you want to make sure it's thoroughly covered in lube. Onto the next side. So I've got plenty of lube on this brush, so I don't need to add any more just yet. On the underside, I blob into the back, push it all the way in. Nice amount on the underside. And then as we turn it back around, all over the wire, wherever it touches any plastic. There we go. And then we're going to move on to the last one. I'm just going to catch up with chat now, see what's going on. O-rings and switches sound like chastity belts, that's fair. Pretty much Bergamount but plateless. Oh, that's the secret 60, yeah. Top Clack, so did you ever get around to printing those jailhouse spaces? I did print them and I haven't used them as yet. I will try and use them at some point soon, but I haven't tried them as yet. They've got a box full of them in my little drawer at the moment. And that's as far as I've got. The only switch I'm okay with putting O-rings on the keycaps with is click jackets. Can you tell me why that is, Neb? I'm not sure I understand that choice, but I mean, fair enough if that's your choice, but I'm not quite sure I understand why that would be the case. Okay. What else was going on? Soren says Soren's going to go make themselves something to eat. Here he's hoping that we'll go queer mode with them. No, I won't be taking that quite so long. We're almost done with the stabilizers now anyway, and then we'll fully catch up with chat before we proceed to starting the soldering and doing the build. Okay. Okay, there we go, guys. That's the lubing done. Let's catch up with chat and see what's going on. Made grasses, but I want to play about your way of lubing stabs so I can feel superior. Top Clack. Fair enough, yeah, that's fine. There's more than one way of doing stabs. We have very different ways of doing stabs. Everyone does neb. I think there's more than one way of doing them. Interesting, I'll probably try this method in my neck build, much quicker than my method. Same, yeah, I go for it. There's multiple different ways of doing it. I just like it this way around. What's your stab mounting method preference? I prefer screw-in stabs, absolutely screw-in stabs. Plate mount, PCB mount, sorry. Proficient execution, by the way. Love your display against the back wall. Oh, thanks. Yeah, there's quite a few up there. There's some more in boxes and things like that around as well. Odin's got to go. Good night, man. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate you being there. And please do watch the VOD later on. Okay, guys. So we're going to put the stabilizers into the PCB now. So the first thing we're going to do is pop the backspace one in. That's in place, and then we're going to take a look on the underside. I just need a different bit here. That should work. There's nothing on this particular one where we need to worry about any clashes. I'm just going to screw these in. Remember, you don't want to, I need a slightly different bit. You don't want to over tighten these. The aim is not to go too tight. You just want to nip them up to the PCB, and that's about it. Again, oh, it's a tri bit, not a quad bit. Apologies, guys. I'll find the right size bit in a second. There we go. So you don't want to do these too tight. You're only doing it to just pull the stabilizer against the PCB. You don't want to over tighten them and be nipping the PCB and crushing it. So you just want to go finger tight almost. So that's that one in place and all working just fine. We're then going to move on to the ISO enter. We're going to screw this one in as well. Make sure that's nice and flush. Then we're going to do the second screw on the ISO enter. There we go. That's the ISO enter stabilizer in place. And then we're going to go on to the 6.25U spacebar. So I just want to make sure I get this in the right spot. So it's going to have to go there, I believe. Then we'll have 1.25, 1.25, 1.25. Let's just make sure that's correct before we screw that in. Yes, it is. There we go. That's correct. So we'll just screw these in. Let's see what's going on in chat. We made a better version of those jailhouse spaces. Oh, you'll have to send me the file for them then, dude, and I'll print those off. Cleans up the sound of the click jacket, isolating the click and removing the bottom out clonk. Makes my girlfriend using a razor with click is bearable. Oh, that actually makes a lot of sense, actually. I hadn't considered that that's how it would affect it. But yeah, that kind of makes sense, dude, yeah. Rygar says, so are these builds for personal or is this business for me? No, it's not business. Top Clack is just a channel. We specialise in custom keyboards. We do a weekly show on all of the news within the hobby. There's quite a big community around what we do. In terms of these builds, these are all mine. I collect these boards, as you can see. There's quite a few around me, and I've got a few in boxes and things like that as well. So these are all basically a collection, just like people collect other things like video games or whatever. Just custom keyboards for me. And the RGB is not SMD. Oh, okay. But this is a personal build. Yeah, absolutely. These are my boards. I have built boards for other people in the past. Most recently, Nebulant, who's in the chat, I gave away a board on stream and built it for him. So yeah, it does happen. Okay guys, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to clip some switches into the plate, and then what we're going to do is we're going to solder a couple of these into the PCB. These are quite tight fitting switches. So I'm going to clip these in. There you go, you can see they are now clipped in on the plate and flush with the PCB. Going to do a couple in the middle because this is a much thinner plate and it's got a lot more flex in it as well, so I want to make sure we don't have any issues in the middle of the PCB, so I'm just going to put a couple in the middle as well. And then I'll put a couple on this side too. We're going to go with stepped caps. And then we'll pop one in this bottom corner as well. Okay, so now we've got those in. What I'm going to do is just make sure they're all nice and flush. Make sure that they're seated within all of the slots that they should be. Make sure they're seated within the plate nice and neatly. These ones in the middle are not seated quite correctly. We'll get them so they are fully seated. There we go. So all of the switches are now flush with the plate and flush with the PCB. So what we're going to do is just going to solder these in place to hold it all together. What else are we talking about? Nebulant waves. You know why the plate doesn't have openings so you can open the switches? Yes. So this is these aren't switch top opening. A lot of boards aren't switch top opening these days. Personally, I'm not a massive fan of switch top opening. I prefer to have them like this. I'd rather desolder and change the switches if I was going to do anything like that. Switch top opening is a bit of a pain for me. So now we've got these in, we're just going to make sure they're all nice and flush, solder them nice and neatly into the board. Yeah, set temperature. Just do that pin there, that pin there. Come down here and do this one. Try and be nice and neat on this board. There we go. Jump over and do this one. Opponent says tangerines. Yep, these are tangerine switches. Where else did we put two in the middle? We've got one here. What this is doing, guys, is just making sure that everything's nicely aligned. So when we're putting in other switches now, it should be a lot easier to align them to the PCB. And one here as well. There's nothing worse than putting half a board of switches in and then realising that what you've done doesn't actually help you get the switches in the middle because there's an issue, or 3/4 of your switches are not aligned properly. I just want to put another switch in. Yeah, there it is. There we go. There we go. So that's those switches all nicely tacked into place. That's going to give us some rigidity in the plate. It's going to make sure that everything sits together nice and flush. From here, what we're going to do is just pop the rest of the switches in, making sure they sit firstly flush with the plate, and then secondly flush with the PCB. And we're going to go all the way through row by row on this one. Just making sure that everything fits nicely. The more switches we get in, the more rigid the plate will come in its position, the less likely any switches will be to not clip in properly. Is this Healios on Alu? No, it's tangerines. So we did Healios in the brass plate for the Zephyr earlier on. What temperature do I solder at? I solder at 320 degrees with this particular solder because it's quite a thick solder. If I'm using a thinner solder, then I will lower the temperature down to about 290, but they are leaded solders. If I was using a solder that wasn't leaded, I would probably have to go a little bit higher than that. Music's got really loud all of a sudden. Infinite Strata says, am I using the tip that came with the TS100? No, so the tips that came with the TS100 I got rid of and then bought replacement ones, mainly because I didn't like the tip that it came with. I just struggled with it a little bit, so this isn't the original tip. If you want me to check out the code, I can do later on, and I can let you know which one it is. How would you rate Tangerine's smoothness compared to Healios and GAT Yellows? Once lubed and with a similar spring, they are identical to GAT Yellows. The switches are the same, especially if you've got milky tops on both of them. In terms of smoothness, I mean, Tangerines are just a recoloured Gateron effectively, so they feel identical. They just look nice, and the milky tops give them a slightly different sound profile. But if you go to Novel Keys, you can buy Gateron Yellows with milky tops now as stock, so they should sound and feel identical apart from spring weight. Okay. In terms of Healios, I think Healios are probably slightly smoother stock. Once lubed, depending on how you lube them, I think they're very, very close. Personally, I prefer the sound of Tangerines over Healios, purely because I like my switches to have a noise to them. But the missus needs quiet switches for the office, which is why we put the silent switches in her build. Making sure everything is nice and flush. Met Advice Guy says, did I get fair switches and how would you compare them to GAT yellow with a clear top? I did get fair switches, if I don't knock everything over. I've got 2 bags of these fair switches. Now these are again coloured Gatorons, but these are effectively the same as the full milky housing. These aren't the same as the black bottoms milky top, so they will sound slightly different. I think I'll prefer the sound of the tangerines to the fair switches. I haven't compared them to a GAT yellow with a clear top as yet, but I can do that later on. In fact, I haven't even taken more than one of these out of the bag yet, so there we go. Looks like it took me just a little bit longer than supposed to. Sorry, it's alright. We are cracking on with this build and making some good progress. It's now 10 o'clock, I've got about an hour left, so I'm hoping we can finish the stream within an hour. I think we should be good. Making sure everything is flush and uniform here as well. Didn't miss much. No, we just did the stabilizers and now we're putting switches in. We had a little bit of a chat around different types of switches and their sound and the fact that these are just technically coloured Gatorons. As much as I love these and I will try and get these switches wherever I can, they are just coloured Gatorons, but I do like the look of them. Waffle High says, what plate is quietest or perhaps bassiest? If you want the bassiest, I think you need to go for a thick plate. The bassiest one I've tried is thick polycarbonate from a Zondat board, or one of the Noxry products. That was really bassy with the switches, which I was surprised at because I thought it'd be a little bit higher pitched. Steel is probably the higher pitched of the lot, and then the denser you go, the more deeper the note gets. I like copper as my plate material of choice, and at some point I will rebuild this with a copper plate and some tactile switches. Make sure the pins on the bottom of these switches are not bent. Just the usual rambling that Jay does. I think you guys quite like my rambling. I think that's part of one of the draws of these streams, the fact that I just randomly chatter on about different things that you guys ask me whilst I'm cracking on with the builds. I think that's a good thing. So if you guys have got questions, just keep them coming in. We do, yeah. Soren says they like it, and no problem, Waffle. If you got any questions, man, you just type them in there, and I'll do my best to answer them where I can, or for my opinions and thoughts. 100%. That's why we come to the streams. Good man, and to see the nice, pretty boards when they're built. Okay. This is a little bit longer to get the switches in than the previous board, and the reason for that is because these switches are a lot tighter in both the plate and the PCB. That's neither a positive nor a negative, it's just a fact that I'm having to deal with. Here we've got this little macro column to the left hand side here. As someone suggested earlier on, this probably will end up being an artisan column at some point. I have requisitioned from glove caps some artisans to match the key set that will be permanently on this board. There we go. Just up on the G60 group buy-in was a little hesitant to grab the 1.5mm polycarbonate plate. No, polycarbonate's nice. The thicker the better with polycarbonate, but I like polycarbonate plates. Thoughts on hot swap? Both KL, I think you mean Mil Max, not Max Mil, and Holtites. I dislike Holtites. They're not compatible with most PCBs. Sometimes they're too big, sometimes they're too small, sometimes you have to solder them in. Sometimes they're a bit hit and miss with switches. I'm not a fan of those. The KL hot swap sockets are really good as long as you use clean switches in them. You don't put anything that's been desoldered in there, or anything like a Panda that's got the extra kind of sheath on the pins on the bottom. And the Mil Max sockets, they're better they're better than Holtites, is my opinion, but I still wouldn't pick them. Now I only have one hot swap board. which is a HS60 V2. That's the only hot swap board I have. Sorry, I couldn't think of the name of it for a second then. Which I use purely as a switch tester, not as a daily board. I don't like the feel of hot swap. It feels, and it's also all psychosomatic, but it feels to me like it's going to be less rigid than something I've soldered together. Now it's not in reality. It's perfectly fine. It's going to be typable on, but in my head, I just have that feel that it's not quite as rigid as something that I've soldered together directly. Okay, so we're making good progress here, guys. Just a few more switches to go on this bottom row. Sorry, on this row, and then we've got the bottom row to do. I've got one for the ISO enter as well, which we'll pop in. There we go. Hoping I don't run out of switches. Okay. It's just $20 at Waffle High, so it'll be very nice to try out that way. No, there's no charge for asking me a question. Welcome to the GH60 Club. Nice, good work, guys. It's always good to see multiple people buying the same boards. I built a Holy Panda board without realising they had SIP sockets already installed on the pins. Well, they're not SIP sockets as such, they're kind of like mini hole type sheath type things, but you have to be really careful with them because only Panda, Utamu and some Kale switches will fit. So you couldn't go ahead and use Tangerines or Gateron switches or anything like that. That just doesn't work. Switch doesn't want to go in. Plate's very, very tight on this particular switch. There we go. I'm not happy about that switch. It's just sitting a bit higher than it should be. Just going to have a look at that at the end. And then we just need to do our bottom row. So we've got 3 1.25U keys. So that's there, there. And I'm not going to use that switch because it's got a bent pin. And there. And we've got our space bar. Let's grab a space bar. And what we're doing here is we're just checking where the switch needs to go. So it can go in that one there in the centre. There we go, nice. And then it looks like we have to go 1.5U on the sides here. Like so. Let's just see if we can find some mods to put on there. I don't think that's... Oh, is 1.25? It is 1.25. There we go. So that's going to fit nicely. Okay, excellent. Okay, just going to have a look at this last switch here. So just for your guys' reference, the switch hole for the second key on the ISO left shift, it's just catching on the side of the plate, and I think the plate's probably just not quite cut far enough. It looks like the tolerance is really, really tight, but when I'm looking at the plate, this line here from there up to here, that line there on the plate that's being cut, it looks like it kind of leans in, so it kind of goes like that slightly. So I'm thinking that that might be the issue. We'll try one more different switch. If we get the same issue, we'll just try trimming the side of the switch a little bit rather than trimming the plate. Now we've got all the switches in. So I don't know if you guys can see, let me show you, but it's this switch here, and it's just not quite sitting level with all the other ones. You can kind of see that it's kind of tilted over to the side a little bit. So I think we're just going to try trimming the switch rather than trimming the plate. don't think it needs much material taking off. It's just to try and make sure it sits flush. And if this doesn't work, well, I've got other switches. So we're all good. Okay, so what I've done, it'll be difficult to show you, but effectively what I've done is I've just trimmed some material off the edge of the switch here. It still clips together, it still holds together, but it should now fit without interfering with the plate. It's a little bit better, it's not quite there yet. Just going to try going for the front of it as well. Whoa, a J stream. So we've got Nathan Kim in the stream. Hey man, good to see you, dude. What is the Zeal effect? The Zeal effect was a Zephyr we built earlier on. This is our second build of the night, which is a JER-Mini. There we go. And then we have it nice and straight and flush. There we go. Excellent. Okay, so that's the board all ready for soldering. So what we're going to do now is just solder these switches in. Start from left to right, top to bottom. We'll go all the way across the board. Everything's sitting nice and flush. It was a red build with Healios, turned out very nice. It did, yes, it sounded great as well. So we'll have a look at that later on again if somebody wants to. And now we're doing the JER-Mini. 2 builds in a row, yes, 2 builds on the same stream. We're going for it today, Nathan. It's going to be a lot of fun. So we're just going to finish off this build now. So we're just going to quickly start to solder all the way across. We're going to go row by row. Okay, let's see what chat's doing as well. Oh shit, say hey in chat. Yep, absolutely. We tried to get Jay to wait for you, but he would not listen. Nah, don't wait for any man. Even if it's Nathan Kim. But thank you very much for watching the show, dude. Appreciate you being here. Okay, making good progress across this top row, guys. As always add just a little bit of solder. You can always go back and add more later on if you need to. Try and let the solder wick down the switch onto the pad itself naturally. Don't try and force it. If you just let it do its own thing, it's a lot easier than trying to force it to do what you want it to do. Easy to add more solder later on, so just go really, really careful and really gentle with this. Just going to move this over here. Okay. Always take your time, just be patient with it. No such thing as accents with this, all very easy to do. Okay. Okay, almost done this row, and then we'll catch up with chat, see what you guys are talking about. Just tack in this one. Okay. Just finished meal prepping. Nathan Kim cooks. Wow, nice. Good to know, dude. My wife does it all for me. Anywhere in the UK, EU to get a grey, white or black-white blank DSA set, you're probably going to have to go to PMK. Oh, we've got Bledin in the chat as well, man. Hey, Bledin. Yes, we'll get the Zephyr out at the end as well. Missed the Zephyr doing the washing up. Fair enough. Oh, and Nathan Kim with some bits there. Thank you very much, dude. I really appreciate that, man. First, Jay on top Clack stream for me. I think you dropped into my Vern build, I thought. Maybe not. Maybe not. Let's give my little soldering iron a little widget before I remove it. Yeah, that's fine. Cowty pops in. Hi, Jay. Bye, Jay. No, I think that's fine. It's not necessarily a technique. But I just like to let it flow down and do its thing naturally rather than force it to do whatever I need it to do. Soldering such as this, it will move automatically onto the pads. You don't need to force the solder to do anything. There's nothing wrong with the little movement. It's all nice and easy stuff. Okay, we're going to try and pick up the pace a little bit here, guys. Make sure we finish on time. Let's say I have got to be up about 5 o'clock in the morning for work, so I don't want to be streaming too late tonight. Given that it's 10 past 10 now here. Okay, we're not going to solder that switch, we've got a missing pin, so we're going to come back to that switch at the end. It's either bent or it wasn't on the switch to begin with, so we'll come back to that one in just a few minutes. Okay. When we get to the end of this row, we'll take that switch out, we'll have a look at it, and we'll pop it back in and finish off the soldering of this row, and then it's all done. That way we're not going to worry about that switch or forget about it at the end and then wonder why one of the keys doesn't work later on, or risk popping some solder in it when the pin's not there. Okay. Making good progress now, guys. Just going to solder the whole of this macro pad area in one, and then it's done. Don't have to worry about it then. We don't have to come back to it. We can just relax. Just do the normal 60% area, 65% area of the board. There we go. Let's go take a look at this switch that has a missing pin, which is this switch here. I suspect it's just that the pin's bent. And then when we look at the switch, you can see that one of the pins is bent flat. So we're just going to change it out, pop a different switch in. Not that one because that's bent as well. And there we go. And we can just quickly catch up on this row. There we go. And there we go, that's that switch done. Let's catch up on chat, see what you guys are talking about. Sucks to be me, you don't have to be up until 9. Look at you, man, look at you. I've got to be in the office for 7 o'clock, so 2311 here. Good that I'm not going to work tomorrow. Then again, bad that I'm not going to work tomorrow because I feel like crap. Oh man, I hope you feel better soon, dude. What mini soldering iron is that? It's a TS100 and it's a great bit of kit. I absolutely recommend it. Looks like temperature is 320 degrees or 620 degrees Fahrenheit. Yep, 320 degrees C. Yep. I just straight my bent pins. Yeah, I will do. It was just easier to grab another switch rather than rebend that one. It's fine. Bending the pins doesn't affect the tactility either, usually. Just the switch that he doesn't need to. Yeah, that was exactly it. Yeah. What is a good place to get a switch puller? I get mine off of Taobao. I buy these in a 5-pack because they tend to break on the ends eventually. They're just they bend out of shape sometimes when you pull in some tough stuff out. So I just buy a 5-pack, and then when 3 of them have gone, I'll buy another 5-pack. It was a flex. No, I just got a pack of 90, so just one of those things. Okay, we're going to move on to the next row now. We'll quickly solder through this as well. Okay. My music crashed again. No, it's still playing. It should have been quiet. I do think it's when the missus is watching YouTube downstairs that it causes it to go funky. Whenever she changes channel or whatever. Watches something different. Okay. So once we've done this row, we've just got the bottom row and the Z row to do, and then we can start to build the board up, and then we can get some caps on it and try it out. As I said, I am a little bit worried about the screws that hold the plate into the case, so I'm not going to be putting those in too tight. I am intending on replacing those in the very near future with something a little bit less prone to shearing the screws and rounding the screws off so you can't get any traction on them. So we'll take it very light with those, and then I'll replace them in the next week or so with something a little bit more suited to the job. We've got another pin missing on a switch there. We've done that and done that. Okay, so we'll come back to that in a second. We'll carry on and do this next row, and then we'll come back to it as well. I should have really checked all the pins before soldering, but given I'm trying to do 2 builds in one night, it's just a little bit easier and faster to just pay attention for it at this stage rather than checking for it beforehand. Okay. Okay, making plenty of good progress here. Don't know if you guys can hear it, my dog's just at the door again trying to get into the office. Well, it is getting kind of warm in here now. May have to open the door shortly. Okay guys, making really good progress. Just double checking that all of the pins are showing through before I start to solder either side of the switch. I've just got one to go back to that was showing incorrectly. Again, I think it's just a bent pin, which I do find happens more on Gator-on switches than anything else. I think the pins are slightly softer in terms of their material, and they bend easier under less pressure than what, say, Cherry ones do, or certainly Invia Pandas do with the sheaths on the legs, on the pins. Okay, but now we're on the bottom row, making our progress along here. Okay, up to the space bar, and we've just got the far side to go now. One switch to come back to. Okay, last 3 switches now. That's 1. That's 2. And this is 3. Okay, cool. Okay, just that one switch to go back and look at, which was here. I'm just going to pop this one out. And again, assume it was a bent pin. Taking the switch. Pop that in. We're good to go. Okay, there we go. All soldering done for this evening. Okay guys, so that's that done. That's the build almost finished. What's a good place to get switch plugs? I think I answered that one. It's Taobao. Shame it was only in that colour. Would look amazing in black, although it looks really nice in that colour. The board, yeah, it would look good in black, but I prefer a white board personally, so I'm kind of glad that it is white. I'm not sure I'd have bought it if it hadn't been white. Shall we design you a 40% version? The J0.4 may be a thing, given that the J1's on its way to me now. Doggo cam went. Doggo's not coming on cam today. Gigi's been a naughty dog this weekend, so she's not coming in. Solder Master J, not really. Metal bender. That sounds a bit weird. Nothing wrong with a slight bend in your pin, totally normal. Okay guys, yeah, bent pins happen. It's a thing. It's not fun. It's fine. Thoughts on the pink Healios that people are trying to make a thing? I think I prefer it to the orange, if I'm honest. I think I'd much prefer it to the orange. They would look amazing with a navy board. Yes, they probably would do. Yeah. Okay guys, so this is the grey plate and tangerines all lubed, installed, soldered in, all looking good. So now what we're going to do is move on to the build. So for those of you who haven't seen this, join the stream a bit later on. This is the JER-Mini, so you can see the JER plant logo, a whiteboard with the lovely brass insert off-centered. The PCB and plate sit in like so. And then we are going to take it very, very steady with these screws because they are very much Chinesium. I'm very, very worried that they're going to strip or damage, and I'm not going to be able to get them out. So I'm just going to barely tighten them in at all, just enough to hold the plate down nice and neatly. Don't want to risk these rounding off. As I say, I will be replacing them later on this week when I get an order through Westfield Fasteners in. Westfield Fasteners are amazing for this kind of stuff. They provided parts for the JER-1, the ANSI. They will provide parts for this, and they also provide parts for most of my cars. Yeah, that one's rounding off already. Yeah, so these are very, very delicate little screws. I'm not too worried about being able to get them out. I can always just cut a hash in the top, make them a single line across the top of the Dremel. That'd be very easy to do to get them out. Or I can just hammer in a flat head screwdriver part and that'll pull them out as well. Or I have got some drill bits that'll pull them out. So if they do get stuck, it's not the end of the world. I'm just very conscious of it. Make sure that's tight. Yeah, that's not going to rattle at all. Yeah, no rattle there. So okay, so the plate's in nice and neatly. So what we're going to do now is attach the little light LED bar. We're going to flip it over once we put it onto the case. We're going to line that all up. Turn the board fully over. Change back to a slightly larger sized bit, and then we're going to again screwing diametric close. This one's going to go in finger tight, folks, so just to there. Oops. And then we're going to tighten it over on this side as we get it nice and flush and square and straight. Just feeling around, make sure all the board is nice and flush. There we go, tighten it up. Come back here, tighten this one up. And then we have no worries about slippage. All of the other ones can just go in nice and neatly now. Always going diametrically opposed. Share the load of the weight evenly across all of the screws. This way you make sure that you're not cross-threading anything. You're not putting any undue pressure on any single screw. And as I say, this will be a set that this will take the Space Cadet set when it arrives from Tyson later on this week. But for now, we are going to build it with GMK Royal Alpha. Okay. So there we go, guys. The JER-Mini all put together. Again, let's see if we can get you that logo showing. I don't know if you can see it there. We're back to front in that camera, but there you go. I'm not sure it'll show properly underneath this one. There you go, you can see it just there. We will infill that as well on stream later on. Healios is the god and personification of the sun in Greek mythology, now in all new pink. Fair. The non-center weight is amazing. Yeah, the weight is so good. So nice. That is such a nice little affectation, is that weight being at the side there. I really like it. Really like it. A slightly larger size Torx bit will usually take out a stripped hex if I need to. So the bit that I was using actually is a Torx bit, so I don't know if it's going to show up, but it is a Torx bit. No, it's not going to focus. And yes, that's why I was using it. Try and get everything back in place. Put all these away. There we go. Okay guys, so now we're going to move on to the board. I'll let you guys decide on the spacebar colour that we're going to choose, whether we're going to use a white one, which I have somewhere, or whether we're going to use one of the green ones. But effectively, we're going to put the board together now, see what we think. So apologies for the sound, I'm going to tip these out, guys. So you guys have a look at the spacebars, let me know what you think, tell me which colour to use. I could have sworn I had another white one. Am I using it on something else? I don't believe I'm using it on something else. Let me see if it's in the drawer. No, it must be somewhere else. I can't find it, guys. So pick one of the colours, either the pale green or the darker green, and we'll go from there. Okay. So, size. Yes, we will put that there because that's going to be our function key. Tyler says white. Yeah, I can't find the white that fits it. I'll see if I can dig it out. It's probably somewhere in the drawer. I can't see it at quick glance. It's probably just fallen out. Fallen out of the box at some point. There we go. RTYUIO. There we go. Probably put page up here. Okay. just going to put any of the modifiers I'm thinking of potentially using to the side. And then we'll come back to them later on and work out which ones I specifically need. What you say? Backspace key. Turn some of these over and get moving a little bit quicker. Okay. So enter going on there. A short shift. Oh, maybe I'll change it for the Alt-GR considering it's just such a nice legend. RTY. Okay, making some good progress now, folks. JKL, there we go. Finding these homing keys, guys. Go with the pale green escape because I think it looks nice. Step caps lock. There we go. Tab. Okay. Go for the barred homing keys on this build as well, guys. Feel free to disagree if you dislike those, but that's what I like. Yeah. Okay, so did you guys decide what you want me to go with spacebar wise? Let's catch up. Probably get some bars. Yeah, okay, that's the pink Healios. Yeah, absolutely. Tangerines are such a nice colour. They are, dude. They're fantastic. Thank you, Solid Snake. What is that bit driver that I use? It's not a branded one. It's just some cheap Chinese thing. I'll show you. It kind of comes in a set. They lay down flat. All sorts of different bits and sizes and stuff like that. It's a good little tool set. They're quite good. Lighter green. Yeah, okay. Look at that subtle off-white colour. Oof, good movie reference. I love that. If I bend a pin, how do I straighten it? Yeah, tweezers. I use flush cutters and just hold it and bend it back up. In fact, let me show you. So if I can't get my fingernail underneath it to straighten it up, what I'll do is I'll just take the flush cutter and I'll just prise it up like that, and then it's fixed. Simple as that. Let's put these keycaps on here. That's the wrong profile. Where's the right profile? That's the right profile there. We will put FN here. Right profile, yeah. And then we just need one in the middle, which will be delete. There we go, guys. That's all that side done. For the other side, at the minute, I don't have the right stuff to go on, so I'm just going to put print screen, scroll lock, pause break, and the end of the board. There we go. So you guys have suggested I go for the light green. This is an unused pack of stabilizers. Space bars. So I'm just going to take these out of here. And there we go, folks. That's the board now built. Let me know what you think to that. Light blue, green, yeah. This is quite possibly one of my favourite key sets of all time. I didn't expect it to look quite as nice as this on this board. I am slightly disappointed I don't have the other spacebar, because I think you'll agree that will look nicer. I will have to try and find that. It'll be in one of the drawers somewhere. So there we go. So this is Lubed Tangerines with 205 grade 0. The JER-Mini, the JER-Mini, or the JER-Mini as my EU friends like to call it, with GMK Royal Alpha with Accent, Escape and Spacebar. It will get replaced. It is going to have GMK Space Cadet on there when the board is finished and when I get the set through, so that will be all gone next week. And we're going to have some artisans made by Glove from Glove Caps for this little macro row here as well. Lots of people talking about screwdrivers, absolutely fantastic. Mr. Petrov says absolutely fabulous, loves it. Elmo Space really likes it as well. Talisman thinks it's slick. Is it worthy of bits, Talisman? Probably not, but it is a nice board. I'm really happy with this. I'm looking forward to using it. Really nice. Love the layout and love the key set. Yeah, absolutely. I love this layout. This whole little macro pad at the side is so cute. I think it's absolutely fantastic, and I love a good 65% with a blocker. This is right up my street in terms of layout options, opportunities. No badly aligned keycaps. Nothing that's not straight or square or flush. That one, maybe I might come back to that one. I might trim the plate a little bit there. It looks really nice. Leave it like this, please. Give us a sound test. Yeah, I'm building up to that. Don't worry. I think the Quo would like it. Yep, it will. Fire up to show off those indicators. There's no LEDs in there yet. So I can't at the moment blend in. I haven't got the LEDs through yet that I want to use for this, because I want to use something quite nice that's going to match the Space Cadet set. So I've actually ordered some grey LEDs of all things, so we're going to see how those go. But when that comes through, I'll probably, on the next build stream I'll probably spend an hour at the end and I will finish this board off, change the keycaps, put the LEDs in, and we'll fire it up and we'll test it out. I'm going to program it off screen and look at that over the next couple of days. I will try and find the white space bar and take a picture of that with as well for you guys to see. I don't know if they're going to be dull white or not. They said that they are grey LEDs. Now I've never seen grey light, so who knows. I will get them, I'll try them out. If not, then the other idea I had for this was putting ultraviolet ones in, because they'll look so funky just on that bottom row with no matter what key set I go on it. Like I skipped over your complaint. Sorry, I didn't see your complaint, Met Advice Guy. What did you say? I can't see it. Switch the spacebar over to the grey one. Yeah, I don't have a grey one that fits just yet. I've only got the 7U. The 6.25U must be in the drawer, but this doesn't actually fit here at the minute. But you can see what it'll look like if I do that. That's going to give you a good impression of what it'll look like. Kek for him says that's one looking smexy. It is indeed. Could use a bit more white though. I like the green, and these are actually grey keycaps. They're slightly off-white. As someone said, that subtle off-white lettering. And now Jay managed to build 2 boards in 2 hours and 30 minutes. Yeah, I did cheat on the first one. I didn't do the stabilizers on stream. They were already done. Let me go grab the Zephyr and lay them side by side. So here we go. This is the product of the 2 stream builds tonight. We have a red Zephyr with GMK Exent on there, with glove caps artisans to give a wing keyless feel. And we have the JER-Mini, the JER-Mini with GMK Royal Alpha with Accent, Space and Escape. So there we go, guys. So this is a reminder of the Healios feel and sound. Very quiet. very quiet. Let's now move over to the JER-Mini. Mute the sound. So this is the first sound typing test. JER-Mini with lubed tangerines. So there we go. Well, it sounds like a keyboard. Yeah, let's do a bit more sound typing test. It's a lot more muted than I was expecting, which I quite like. Yeah, I really like this. Yeah, spacebar, index finger spacebar clan. Yeah, it's just used to it to that. And the reason for it is, and people will see this as an excuse or not, I'm trying to teach myself not to do it. But I'm so used to typing on a laptop and having my thumb trackpad here and my thumb clicking on mouse buttons here and here, and then my fingers typing up here and using space whilst I'm clicking and tapping. So that's why I type like that, but that's it. Yeah, grey LEDs, yes. So I've got a friend who works in the lighting industry. He's managed to find these grey LEDs. I'm going to try them out and see what they're like. If they're crap, then I'm going to get rid of them. I suspect they're not grey at all. They're probably just like them smoked glass LEDs that you can get. Brown LEDs for the win. Yeah, never seen brown ones. I'll ask him if I can get them. Don't like white boards or green caps, but this board is so good it's changed my mind. Thank you, Sam. I really appreciate it, man. Thank you. That red is garishly red. Yeah, how cool is this red? This red is just phenomenally red, and it's really close to what I'm seeing on my screen as to what it is in real life. It's absolutely stunning. The red is so nice. And excuse the fingerprints on the bottom. I will clean them off before I give this to the wife later on. But yeah, you can just see how it changes just in the light, the way the light catches it. It's absolutely fantastic. What keycaps was that again? I need them for the Sub-Legends Learner. This is GMK Royal Alpha. This one is GMK Exent. Maybe grey like the alien species, not so much the colour, sourced from a distant star. Maybe, maybe. Lack of sound. Yeah, this board's very quiet. This board is not. But it is much more muted than I expected it to be. ISO Return says great. Yeah, this is what my guy's telling me. He's got me some great LEDs when I showed him the colour of the key set. So we'll see what he comes up with. That Zephyr is so gorgeous. Can I be your wife and will you give the board to me? No. It really is a great red. It is stunning. Why would you need to use a trackpad and type at the same time? So my job is a lot of PowerPoint presentations and stuff like that. So I will be dragging and clicking and moving stuff around a box, and then I'll be in the box and I'll be typing and I'll be moving something else around or putting something on. And I try not to use a handheld mouse because it's just easy. It's just easier that way on the laptop. It's really crap and it's horrible realistically in real life, but hey, it's one of those things. That's just how I do it. It goes from matte to metallic. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? It's just absolutely stunning. Is this red? Yeah, and these glove caps absolutely set it off. I'm so happy with those. The way that the gloves and George has managed to pull that off, absolutely stunning. It goes from matte to metallic. Yeah, excellent job this evening, Jay. Interesting and unique. Thank you very much. And Moroccan says thank you very much again, Jay, as well. Well, that's it for today, guys. I am going to program these off separately. It's nearly 11 PM. I've probably got about 15 minutes left before I have to pack up and start having showers and start getting ready for work tomorrow. But there you go, guys. That's the two builds for today. 2 65%. just one of those things. So yeah, if you guys like these boards, let me know. Let me know how I can improve the streams. Let me know if you'd like to see anything different or anything else. And I should be back next week. I haven't decided what build next week, but it's likely to be the 60XT prototype from Pingu. He's one of the EU residents, so this is a German Borsdorf board, not Borsdorf, that's a different board. It's a German board, a custom, instead of custom, it's a German custom, so custom. So yeah, so that'll probably be next week's build. The week after, it's probably going to be the Exent. After that, I'm not quite sure. It depends on if my specially coloured KBD67 from Way at Keyboard Fans has come through or not, or whether one of the other group buy boards I'm in has come through as well. So there we go, guys. That's the 2 builds for today. I don't see any more questions coming through, so I'm going to end the stream there. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I love you all, and I'll see you again on Thursday on the Top Clack stream. Cheers, guys.